He asked for a hug before work, so I said, "You're not a kid, grow up," and slammed the door. I'm standing in our front entryway on a Tuesday morning, scrolling mindlessly through Instagram while Ethan rushes around gathering his things for work. The hardwood floor feels cold against my bare feet. Outside, rain patters against the windows, creating that gloomy Seattle ambiance we've grown accustomed to after 5 years of marriage. "Have you seen my blue folder?" Ethan calls out from the home office down the hall. I don't look up from my phone. "Check under the pile of mail on your desk," I shout back, double-tapping on my college roommate's vacation photos. Turquoise waters, white sand beaches, and her smiling next to her investment banker husband. I feel a twinge of envy rise in my chest. I think, Melissa's husband probably takes her to Bora Bora every year, while Ethan's idea of a vacation is visiting his parents in Ohio. Found it. Ethan emerges from the office, briefcase in hand, his dark hair still damp from the shower. At 36, he looks good. I'll give him that. He's got those earnest brown eyes that first attracted me to him 7 years ago at my friend's gallery opening. But lately, I find myself noticing how his clothes always seem slightly rumpled, how his movements lack a certain confidence I see in other men. I'm 32, still young enough to turn heads when I bother to put in the effort. My friends tell me I look like a younger Olivia Wilde, which I never argue with. This morning, I'm wearing silk pajamas, my honey blonde hair piled in a messy bun. I haven't started getting ready for my job at the boutique marketing agency downtown, where I'm an account manager. My shift doesn't start until noon. Ethan approaches me, that puppy dog smile on his face. "I'm heading out. Big presentation today with the Nakamura account." "Good luck," I mutter, still scrolling. I think he's been talking about this presentation for weeks. If he spent half as much time actually advancing in his career as he does preparing for these meetings, maybe we could afford a house in Queen Anne instead of this overpriced 2-bedroom in Fremont. He lingers in front of me, shifting his weight from one foot to the other. I finally look up, raising an eyebrow. "Can I get a hug before I go?" he asks, opening his arms slightly. I'm nervous about today. Something about the neediness in his voice irritates me. I roll my eyes dramatically, lowering my phone. "You're not a kid, Ethan. Grow up," I snap, reaching for the front door and pulling it open. The cold air rushes in and raindrops splash onto the entryway tile. "You're going to be late." His face falls, arms dropping to his sides. I feel a flash of guilt, but it's quickly replaced by annoyance. Why does he always need this emotional coddling? "Right," he says quietly. "See you tonight." I slam the door behind him with more force than necessary and stomp toward the bathroom. I catch my reflection in the mirror, flushed cheeks, narrowed eyes. I think, was that necessary, Vanessa? He just wanted a hug. But another voice cuts in. No, he needs to toughen up. My father never asked for hugs before work. This is what's wrong with men these days. I turn on the shower, planning to wash away the moment and get on with my day. It's just a small thing. Anyway, Ethan will get over it. 4 hours later, I'm at Cafe Artemis, a trendy coffee shop 2 blocks from my office. I'm meeting my friend Zara for lunch, and I'm already annoyed because she's 15 minutes late. The barista with the nose ring keeps giving me pointed looks as I occupy a table without ordering more than an Americano. I'm scrolling through work emails when Zara finally bursts in, her dark curls bouncing as she navigates between tables. Sorry, she says, dropping into the chair across from me. Client meeting ran over. She works as an interior designer for luxury apartments, a job that seems to consist mostly of selecting ridiculously expensive light fixtures and complaining about contractors. No worries, I lie, tucking my phone away. How's it going? She launches into a story about a difficult client in Ballard, but I'm only half listening. My mind keeps drifting back to Ethan's face this morning. The hurt in his eyes when I dismissed him. So then I told her, Terrazzo is out, honey. If you want 2025, we're talking about hand-poured concrete with embedded brass elements. Zara pauses. Hey, are you even listening? You look distracted. I shake my head, bringing myself back to the present. Sorry, just had a weird morning with Ethan. Weird how? She leans forward, always eager for relationship drama. He wanted a hug before his big presentation today, and I kind of shut him down, told him to grow up. Zara winces. Ouch. I know, But doesn't it seem a little needy? Like he's a grown man heading to work, not a kindergartner on his first day of school. Zara sips her matcha latte thoughtfully. I don't know. Jackson and I always kiss goodbye, even if we're just running to the store. Jackson is her husband of 3 years, a software developer at Amazon who seems to spend most of his waking hours either working or rock climbing. That's different, I argue. A quick kiss goodbye is normal. But he wanted this whole emotional pep talk hug thing. It's exhausting sometimes, how much reassurance he needs. I think, am I being unfair? Maybe. But Ethan knew what he was getting when he married me. I've never been the warm, fuzzy type. Has he been extra stressed lately? Zara asks, breaking off a piece of her almond croissant. I shrug. He's been working on this presentation for weeks. His company's trying to land some Japanese tech firm, but it's his job. Everyone's stressed at work. True, Zara says, but I can tell by her expression that she thinks I'm being harsh. My phone buzzes with a text. I expect it to be from Ethan, but it's my boss asking where the Hendrick files are. I quickly type a response. I should get back, I say, gathering my things. Madeline's on the warpath about this pharma campaign. As I stand up, Zara grabs my wrist. Hey, maybe just send Ethan a nice text? Wish him luck on the presentation? I hesitate, then nod. Yeah, maybe. But as I walk back to the office through the misty rain, I don't text him. Instead, I think he'll be fine. Men don't need to be babied. I'm perched on a bar stool at Ravenna Brewing Company, nursing a hazy IPA and watching Ethan interact with his coworkers across the room. It's 7:30 p.m., and his company is celebrating landing the Nakamura account. Despite my morning coldness, his presentation apparently went well. When he called to invite me to the impromptu celebration, his voice sounded distant, professional. None of his usual warmth or excitement. I almost didn't come, but something, guilt, curiosity, or maybe just boredom, made me agree. Now I'm regretting it. I barely know these people, and the few I've met are deep in conversation about coding frameworks or market penetration strategies or whatever it is Ethan's tech consulting firm actually does. I've never fully understood his job, despite his multiple attempts to explain it to me. I pull out my phone and check Instagram again. More vacation photos from acquaintances, more engagement announcements, more perfectly curated lives, making mine feel increasingly stagnant. You must be Vanessa, a voice says. Startling me, I look up to see a woman with sleek black hair and rimless glasses. She's wearing a tailored blazer over a simple black dress, exuding an effortless elegance I immediately envy. Yes, that's me, I say, slipping my phone into my purse. And you are? Maylin, she says, extending a manicured hand. I'm the Nakamura account liaison. Your husband was incredible today. I force a smile, taking a sip of my beer. So I heard. Congratulations on the partnership. He really saved us. She continues, signaling the bartender for a drink. Our technical team was fumbling the presentation, but Ethan stepped in and explained everything so clearly that Mr. Nakamura signed right there in the meeting. It's practically unheard of. I glance across the room at Ethan. He's laughing at something his boss is saying, his posture more confident than I've seen in months. I feel a strange mix of pride and irritation. That's Ethan, I say. Always reliable in a crisis. Maylin gives me an odd look. You say that like it's a bad thing. I shrug, picking at the label on my beer bottle. No, it's just, that's his whole personality, you know? Reliable, dependable, safe. I infuse that last word with just a hint of disdain. Most people would consider those admirable qualities, she says coolly. I think, great, now I'm getting judged by some corporate robot who probably color codes her sock drawer. Of course they are, I backpedal. I just mean, never mind, I'm happy for him, for the company. Maylene studies me for a moment longer, then mercifully changes the subject. How long have you two been married? 5 years, I reply. Together, for 7. That's wonderful, she says, accepting her martini from the bartender. My parents just celebrated their 30th anniversary. My father still brings my mother coffee in bed every morning. I think, is she seriously trying to passive-aggressively marriage counsel me right now? How sweet, I say flatly. Across the room, Ethan catches my eye. He gives a small wave, and I wave back half-heartedly. Normally, he'd come check on me, make sure I wasn't feeling left out. Tonight, he turns back to his conversation. I drain my beer and order another. The evening stretches before me, long and awkward. I should be happy for my husband's success, but instead, I feel a creeping resentment. I think, why couldn't he be this confident, this impressive at home? Why does he save his best self for these people? It doesn't occur to me, not yet, that the answer might have something to do with me. I'm sprawled across our sage green couch on Saturday morning, flipping through a fashion magazine while Ethan cleans out the storage closet in our spare bedroom. The sound of boxes being moved and occasional sighs drift down the hallway. It's been 3 days since the morning incident and the celebration at the brewery. Things between us have been strange. Not overtly hostile, but there's a new distance in Ethan's behavior. He's polite, even kind, but the usual affection is missing. No casual touches as he passes me in the hallway. No inside jokes. No asking about my day with genuine interest. I tell myself I'm imagining things, that he's just busy with the new account. But deep down, I know something has shifted. The doorbell rings, startling me from my thoughts. Can you get that? Ethan calls from the back room. It's probably Marcus and Devon. I'd forgotten they were coming over. Marcus is Ethan's college roommate, now a pediatric surgeon, married to Devon, a landscape architect with a thriving business. They're the kind of couple that runs marathons together and makes their own kombucha. Normally, I find them exhausting, but today I welcome the distraction. I open the door to their smiling faces. Marcus is holding a bottle of wine, Devon a houseplant in a handmade ceramic pot. "Vanessa!" Devon exclaims, leaning in for a hug. Her curly red hair tickles my face. "It's been too long." "Only a month," I say, stepping back to let them in. "Ethan's finishing something up. He'll be out in a minute." "We brought you guys a little housewarming gift," Devon says, offering me the plant. "It's a calathea, super easy to care for. I think we've lived here for 3 years. This isn't a housewarming, and I've killed every plant I've ever owned." "Thanks," I say, accepting it with a forced smile. "It's lovely." Marcus holds up the wine. "And this is to celebrate Ethan's big win." "We heard about the Japanese account. That's huge." "The Nakamura account, yes," I correct automatically. "It's been all he can talk about." I realize too late how dismissive that sounds. Marcus's smile falters slightly, but he recovers quickly. "Well, he should be talking about it. Parker and Associates has been trying to land Nakamura for years. This could fast-track his career." Before I can respond, Ethan emerges from the hallway, his face lighting up at the sight of his friends. "Hey, you made it." He exchanges hugs with both of them, accepting their congratulations with a modesty that suddenly irritates me. I think, why can't he just own his success? This self-deprecating act is so unattractive. "I'll open the wine," I announce, heading to the dining area that flows into our open kitchen. I rummage through drawers, looking for the corkscrew. Behind me, I hear Devon say, "We were just telling Vanessa how impressive this Nakamura deal is." "You must be thrilled." "It's a team win," Ethan replies. "But yeah, I'm really proud of what we accomplished." I find the corkscrew and aggressively twist it into the cork. "Ethan almost choked this morning," I call over my shoulder. He needed a hug for courage before his big presentation. The conversation behind me stops abruptly. I pull the cork out with a satisfying pop and turn around to see 3 sets of eyes staring at me. Ethan's face has gone completely blank, that calm mask he wears when he's deeply hurt. I think, why did I just say that? "I was joking," I say quickly, forcing a laugh. "He was great, obviously. They signed right there in the meeting." Devon glances between us, clearly sensing the tension. "Well, I always get nervous before big presentations, too. Last month I had to pitch to this hotel chain, and I made Tom hug me for like 5 solid minutes beforehand." Marcus nods. "Totally normal. I still call my mom before difficult surgeries. We all need that support." I pour the wine into 4 glasses, my cheeks burning. Ethan hasn't said a word, but I can feel his eyes on me. "Shall we move to the couch?" I suggest brightly, handing out the wine. "Ethan, why don't you tell them about Mei Lin's reaction when Nakamura signed?" He looks at me for a long moment, and I see something new in his expression. Not just hurt, but a cold evaluation. As if he's seeing me clearly for the first time and doesn't particularly like what he sees. "Sure," he says finally, his voice neutral. "Let's sit down." The rest of the afternoon passes in a blur of forced conversation and increasingly awkward pauses. I drink too much wine too quickly, trying to ease the knot of discomfort in my chest. Ethan tells stories about work, laughs at Marcus's jokes, asks Devon about her business, all while maintaining a careful distance from me, physically and emotionally. When they finally leave 3 hours later, promising to have us over for dinner soon, Ethan closes the door behind them and turns to face me. "What was that about?" he asks quietly. I'm clearing wine glasses from the coffee table, avoiding his eyes. "What was what about?" "You know exactly what I'm talking about, Vanessa," the hug comment. I sigh dramatically. It was just a joke. Marcus and Devon didn't even care. "I care," Ethan says, his voice still level. "You deliberately tried to embarrass me in front of my friends." "Oh, come on," I scoff, carrying the glasses to the sink. "It wasn't a big deal. You're being oversensitive." He follows me, standing on the other side of the counter. "This isn't about being sensitive. It's about respect. You've been dismissive and cold for months now, and I've been trying to figure out what I did wrong." I turn on the faucet, rinsing a glass with more focus than necessary. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do." For the first time, I hear anger in his voice. Tuesday morning wasn't an isolated incident. It's becoming a pattern. You talk down to me, you dismiss my accomplishments, you roll your eyes when I try to connect with you. What happened to us, Vanessa? I shut off the water and turn to face him, suddenly defensive. "Nothing happened. You're overreacting." "Am I?" he challenges. "When was the last time you asked about my day and actually listened to the answer? When was the last time you initiated any kind of affection between us? When was the last time you said anything genuinely supportive about my career?" I open my mouth to argue, then close it again. I can't actually remember. I think, he's right, and I hate that he's right. "I've been stressed," I say finally. "Work has been intense, and..." "My work has been intense too," he interrupts. "The difference is that I don't use it as an excuse to treat you poorly." His words hit me like a slap. I feel a surge of anger, hot and defensive. "Oh, so you're perfect now?" I snap. "Saint Ethan, who never does anything wrong? Maybe if you were more exciting, more ambitious, I wouldn't be so cold and dismissive. Maybe I'm tired of being married to someone who needs constant validation just to function." The moment the words leave my mouth, I know I've crossed a line. Ethan's face goes completely still, and something shifts in his eyes. A light dimming, a decision being made. "I see," he says after a long pause. "Thank you for your honesty." He turns and walks down the hallway to our bedroom, closing the door quietly behind him. No slam, no dramatic exit, just a soft click that somehow feels more final than any shouted argument. I stand in the dining area, surrounded by the remnants of our social gathering, and feel the first real tremor of fear. Not just that I've hurt him, but that I may have broken something beyond repair. I think, what is wrong with me? Why do I keep doing this? But instead of going after him, apologizing, trying to fix things, I grab my phone and text Zara. "Fight with Ethan. Need to vent. Drinks tonight?" Her reply comes quickly. "Can't tonight, sorry. Dinner with Jackson's parents. Tomorrow?" I toss my phone onto the counter, suddenly feeling very alone. Outside, rain starts to fall again, pattering against the windows. I stand in the silent apartment, listening to the empty sound. I'm sitting at Crow's Nest, a panoramic rooftop bar overlooking Lake Union, sipping an overpriced cocktail and watching the sunset cast golden light across the water. It's been 10 days since our fight after Marcus and Devon's visit, and things with Ethan have only grown more distant. Zara sits across from me, looking gorgeous and put together in a way that makes me feel slightly disheveled despite the hour I spent getting ready. She's listening to me recount the past week and a half, her expression growing increasingly concerned. "So he's just been polite?" she asks, stirring her drink. "Exactly," I say, leaning forward. "He's like a perfect roommate. He does his chores, he asks if I need anything from the store, he makes dinner on his nights. But there's no connection. He hasn't touched me in over a week. He sleeps on his side of the bed like there's an invisible wall between us." "Have you tried talking to him about it?" I take a long sip of my drink. "I tried once. He said he needed time to think about some things. When I asked what things, he said, our future. Then he got a work call, and that was the end of the conversation." Zara winces. "That doesn't sound good, V." "I know," I admit, feeling a tightness in my chest. "I think I really hurt him this time. But he's taking it too far, don't you think? The silent treatment is so childish. I wouldn't call what you're describing the silent treatment, Zara says carefully. It sounds like he's being civil while creating some emotional distance. There's a difference. I think. Why is she taking his side? Whatever it is, it's manipulative, I insist. He's punishing me for one comment. Zara sets down her glass. Was it just one comment, though? Be honest with me. Has this been building for a while? I look out at the lake, avoiding her eyes. The golden light has faded, leaving everything in shades of blue and gray. Maybe, I admit finally. I've been difficult lately. But marriage is hard, you know? Nobody's perfect all the time. Of course not. Zara agrees. But there's a difference between having bad days and consistently undermining your partner. Her words sting because they contain an uncomfortable truth. I have been undermining Ethan, his confidence, his career, his emotional needs. I've been doing it for so long it's become habit. I don't know how to fix this, I say quietly. Have you tried apologizing? Like really apologizing? I stir the ice in my glass. I said I was sorry after the thing with Marcus and Devon. How did you say it? I think back. I said something like, I'm sorry if what I said bothered you. I was just joking around. Zara shakes her head. That's not a real apology, V. That's an I'm sorry you feel that way apology. It doesn't acknowledge what you did wrong. Fine, I concede. What would you suggest? Tell him you've realized how your behavior has been affecting him. Be specific about what you're sorry for. Don't make excuses. And most importantly, tell him what you're going to do differently going forward. It sounds so simple when she puts it like that, but the thought of making myself that vulnerable terrifies me. What if I apologize and he rejects it? What if it's already too late? I'll think about it, I say non-committally. Zara gives me a look that says she knows exactly what that means. She opens her mouth to press further, but at that moment my phone buzzes with a text. It's from Ethan. Going to be late tonight, meeting with the Nakamura team running long. Don't wait up. A few months ago, he would have added an I love you or at least an X at the end. Now nothing. I show Zara the text. See? He's pulling away. She reads it and hands the phone back. Or he's just letting you know he'll be late. She hesitates, then adds, V, if you really want to save your marriage, you need to decide soon, before he makes a decision for both of you. I think, she's right, I'm losing him. But why is it so hard for me to just admit I was wrong? Let's get the check, I say, suddenly eager to go home. I need to talk to Ethan tonight. Zara nods, signaling the server. Good luck, she says, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. Just be honest with him, and maybe more importantly, be honest with yourself about why you've been treating him this way. As we settle the bill and make our way out of the bar, I feel a mix of determination and dread. I'm going to fix this. I have to. But beneath that resolution is a darker fear. What if I'm too late? I'm standing in Pike Place Market on a rare sunny Sunday afternoon, pretending to examine a display of handcrafted jewelry while actually watching Ethan. He's 20 feet away, buying coffee from a small stand tucked between a florist and a bakery. The vendor, a woman with silver hair and laugh lines, says something that makes him chuckle, and the sound carries to me across the bustling market. It's been 2 weeks since my conversation with Zara at the rooftop bar, and despite my resolution that night, I never had the honest talk with Ethan I'd planned. When he came home after midnight, I was already in bed, not sleeping but pretending to. The next morning, I told myself I'd wait for a better moment. That moment never came, or more accurately, I never created it. Instead, we've continued in this strange limbo, polite, distant, going through the motions of a marriage without the emotional connection that makes it real. Today's market trip was Ethan's idea. We should get out of the apartment, he said over breakfast, not quite meeting my eyes. Enjoy the weather while it lasts. I agreed quickly, hoping this might be an opening, a chance to rebuild something. But since arriving an hour ago, our conversation has been limited to practicalities. Which vendor has the best apples, whether we need more coffee beans, if the crowd around the fish throwers is worth pushing through. Ethan returns with 2 paper cups, offering one to me. Here, I got you the vanilla lavender latte you like. I'm touched that he remembered my favorite, and for a moment I see a glimpse of the old Ethan, the one who paid attention to my preferences, who went out of his way to do small kindnesses. Thank you, I say, taking the cup. Our fingers brush, and I feel a jolt of awareness. When was the last time we touched? Even casually. We continue walking through the market, sipping our coffees in silence. The crowd flows around us, tourists taking photos, locals buying produce, street performers creating pockets of entertainment. Remember when we used to come here every weekend when we first moved to Seattle? Ethan says suddenly. I nod, feeling a wave of nostalgia. You were obsessed with those piroshkis from the Russian bakery. And you always wanted to look at every single piece of jewelry before making a decision, he counters, a small smile playing at the corners of his mouth. I still haven't found the perfect pair of earrings, I admit, gesturing to the display I'd been pretending to examine. Do you want to look now? He offers. I study his face, trying to read his intentions. Is this an olive branch? An attempt to recapture something we've lost? Sure, I say, and we move toward the jewelry stand together. As I browse through delicate silver pieces and vibrant beadwork, Ethan stands beside me, occasionally pointing out items he thinks I might like. For a brief, hopeful moment, it feels like we're finding our way back to each other. Then his phone rings. He checks the screen and frowns slightly. It's Mei Lin, he says. I should take this. The Tokyo team is expecting some files tomorrow. On a Sunday? I can't keep the skepticism from my voice. International business, he says with a shrug. Different time zones. He steps away, answering the call with a warm, Mei Lin, hi? I watch him walk a few paces away, his posture shifting as he transitions into work mode. His voice becomes more animated, his free hand gesturing as he speaks. I can't hear the conversation over the market noise, but I can see his face, engaged, professional, alive in a way he rarely is with me anymore. I think, is he having an affair with her? Is that what this distance is really about? The thought ambushes me, leaving me cold despite the sunshine. I've never considered it before. Ethan has always seemed almost painfully loyal. But people change. Feelings change, especially when they're consistently undermined and taken for granted. When he returns 5 minutes later, I'm no longer interested in jewelry or coffee or market strolling. Everything okay? I ask, my voice tight. Yeah, just some clarification on the presentation materials for tomorrow. He doesn't elaborate further. Did you find anything you liked? I shake my head. Not really. Can we go? I have some work to catch up on at home. He looks surprised but nods. Sure. Let me just grab those apples we saw earlier and we can head back. As we make our way to the produce vendor, weaving through the Sunday crowd, I feel a growing certainty that I'm losing him. Not to Mei Lin necessarily, though the possibility nags at me, but to his own realization that he might be happier without me. I think I need to do something, say something. Now, before it's too late. But the words stick in my throat, tangled in pride and fear and the habits of months, years of emotional distance. By the time we reach the apple display, the moment has passed, and we're back to discussing Honeycrisp versus Pink Lady as if that's all that matters between us. I'm standing in the doorway of our bedroom, watching Ethan pack a suitcase. My heart is hammering so hard I can feel it in my throat. Outside, twilight is settling over the city, casting long shadows across our bedroom floor. It's just for a week, he says, carefully folding a dress shirt. The Tokyo meetings were always part of the deal with Nakamura. And Mei Lin is going too? I ask, trying to keep my voice casual. He glances up at me. Yes, she's the liaison. The whole team is going. Me, Mei Lin, Daniel, and Sarah from legal. I cross my arms, leaning against the doorframe. Convenient. Ethan stops packing, his hands going still on a half-folded pair of slacks. What is that supposed to mean? Nothing, I say, but my tone betrays me. Just an observation. He straightens up, fixing me with a direct look. If you have something to say, Vanessa, just say it. My suspicions and insecurities surge forward, breaking through the dam of forced civility we've been hiding behind. Are you sleeping with her? The words burst out, ugly and accusatory. Ethan stares at me, his expression shifting from surprise to disbelief to something darker, a cold anger I've rarely seen. Is that what you think of me? He asks quietly. After 7 years together, you think I'd cheat on you with a colleague? I don't know what to think anymore, I say, my voice rising. You've been distant for weeks. You barely touch me. You light up when she calls, even on weekends. What am I supposed to think? You're supposed to trust me, he says, each word precise and controlled. The way I've always trusted you. But maybe that's the problem. You don't actually know what trust looks like in a relationship. His calm is infuriating. I want him to yell to match my emotion with his own. Instead, he's standing there, collected and reasonable, making me feel irrational in comparison. Don't psychoanalyze me, I snap. If nothing's going on, why have you been pulling away? He sits down on the edge of the bed, suddenly looking tired. You really don't know? After everything that's happened? Enlighten me, I challenge. He rubs a hand over his face. Vanessa, you've been undermining me for months. You dismiss my work, you mock my emotions, you show zero interest in my life unless it somehow reflects on you. The morning before the Nakamura presentation was just the breaking point. So this is punishment for that? For not giving you a hug? Even as I say it, I know I'm trivializing something significant, but I can't seem to stop myself. This isn't punishment, he says, his voice quiet but firm. This is me finally recognizing my own worth. I deserve a partner who respects me, who supports me, who doesn't tear me down to build herself up. The truth of his words hits me with physical force. I uncross my arms, suddenly feeling exposed. I don't tear you down, I protest weakly. Don't you? He looks up at me, his eyes tired but clear. Tell me honestly, if a friend told you her husband talked to her the way you talk to me, what would you tell her? I don't answer, because we both know the truth. I'd tell her he was emotionally abusive. I'd tell her to leave. I think, oh God, what have I become? For the first time, I see our relationship through his eyes. The constant criticism, the dismissal, the withdrawal of affection as a form of control. I'd become someone I never thought I'd be, someone I would despise in another context. I'm sorry, I whisper, the words inadequate but all I have. Ethan, I'm so sorry. He sighs, returning to his packing. I've heard that before, Vanessa, but nothing changes. It will this time, I insist, taking a step into the room. I'll get help. Therapy or counseling or whatever it takes. I don't want to lose you. He zips up the suitcase and sets it on the floor. I think we both need some space to figure things out. This trip comes at a good time. When I get back, we can talk about what happens next. What happens next? I repeat, fear constricting my chest. What does that mean? He meets my eyes directly. It means I don't know if this marriage is working for either of us anymore. And I think you know that too. I feel tears welling up, hot and unexpected. Are you leaving me? I'm going to Tokyo for work, he says carefully. And while I